Overcoming the Digital Divide, a research proposal for a case study by Kendra Nwosu. So, what exactly is the digital divide? Take a quick look. As you can see from the video, there is definitely a gap in the usage and access of technology. And this gap exists among various ethnic groups. It can exist even between countries and nations. So this gap goes beyond just ethnic and cultural groups, but for the purpose of this study, that's what I would like to focus on. According to Jackson et al. 2008 and Fong and Kao 2008, African American adult technology usage is still lacking behind those of their counterparts, even when access is not an issue. Which goes to show that usage and access are not the only things causing the gap or the digital divide. And based on the outcome of this study, I would like to see, looking at ethnic groups and the differences between them, what else could possibly be causing it? Is it the usage and access, or is it another factor that needs to be explored? So, which leads me to the purpose of the research. The purpose is to study the use of technology in a classroom where technology may not be accessible, or in other words, a technologically scarce classroom, and to see what effect that will have on African American student achievement, as well as their self-efficacy. And for the purpose of this research, a technologically scarce environment is defined as one in which resources, knowledge and skills, or the institution itself, attitudes or beliefs, assessment, or possibly subject culture, prevent the flow and the use of technology. And that is by Hugh and Brush 2006. My research question ultimately is, will closing the digital divide positively affect African American student self-efficacy and achievement in the classroom? It's known that technology use is beneficial for student learning, but if we can figure out what the gap is and the reason for the gap between ethnic groups, will that positively affect, or if we can close the gap between the two, will that positively affect student achievement, African American student achievement, as well as their self-efficacy in the classroom? So the digital divide, I began to look at it from various aspects, the cause of the digital divide, and possibly even ways that the digital divide can be closed, different theories that play into both of those aspects of it. The digital divide, to begin with, the actual definition has evolved. It has not always been the same. So, according to Rogers 2016, the concept of the digital divide started with the Clinton administration, but was initially called inequitable access to computers. The term digital divide was coined by Alan Hammond. At that point, he was a law professor at New York Law School, and Larry Irving, a member of the National Telecommunications and Information Administration in 1995. And again, that's according to Rogers 2016. In the late 20th century, the digital divide referred to those that have access to information communication technology, or ICT, and those that do not. But over the years, the definition has evolved to encompass more than just those that do not have access or do have access, but it has encompassed those that have ICT skills and those that do not. And this is according to Graham and Tana Smith, 2011, and Jackson et al., 2008. Kim Andreasen with the Economist Intelligence Unit defined several areas of the digital divide in 2012. While there are several factors that can influence the digital divide, such as socioeconomic status, race, gender, location, etc., the focus for this particular research will be on the racial digital divide. And there are several lenses through which the racial digital divide can be assessed through. One of those is the critical race theory, or CRT. Critical race theory explains racism as a social construct that the white population created, and because of the fundamental beliefs of superiority held by that population, racial inequalities in the labor market and politics are evident, and this is according to Curry, 2016. The fundamental beliefs behind critical race theory developed from the civil rights movement of the 1960s, and that was the spark for what we now know as the critical race theory. Social justice is another lens through which the digital divide can be analyzed, and it takes more of a positive turn or a positive twist on the digital divide and what can be done to close it. So social justice in education calls for equal access for all students to the same rigor and quality of education. This is a direct quote from Matthew Summers, 2014. I quote, "Social justice education theories maintain that schools should serve as sites of democracy, with all of its inherent ideological, cultural, religious, and social diversity, and should serve to work towards social justice, a significant signpost of democracy," end quote. Since the educational landscape has changed to incorporate more technology, social justice has shaped that conversation. More integration with technology or technology integration experiences promote that social justice by providing access and use of information communication technology, which is often, unfortunately, absent from our urban environments. And this is according to Bannister and Benata Reinhardt, 2011. So the process that I will use to conduct the research, it will be first a teacher interview, a particular teacher who uses technology on a weekly basis to aid in student learning. Preferably a diverse classroom environment would be ideal. That way I can compare the self-efficacy and achievement of African American students compared to other ethnic groups. I will also conduct a classroom observation in which I will observe the teacher and the students using technology and see how students respond. I will also look at maybe possible patterns that arise in their response to technology. I will also look at maybe even other factors such as classroom management and different things that can play a part in the technology usage. I will then look at student achievement records that will be before and after the case study to see if there was an increase or a decrease. I will also look at student self-efficacy through a survey that students will take at the beginning and the end of the case study to see again if there were any increases or decreases in their self-efficacy. And again, those are going to be targeted towards African American students All students will take the survey. I will compare records for all students, but I will specifically focus on increases and decreases in African American students. The digital divide has been studied from various perspectives, but there's still room for further research. I'm interested in the causes of the digital divide between ethnic groups, but also the effects of closing the digital divide and what that will do for African American students. Um, those particular aspects of it have yet to be studied. I take a personal perspective on this research, being an African American, as well as working with predominantly minority students. Hopefully, from this research, we're able to gain a deeper understanding of the causes, but also the effects of closing the digital divide, um, not just on African American students' success, but as well as their self efficacy in the classroom.